Hey everybody, this is Mr. Longo, and this video is going to introduce you to functions. So one thing you probably already know is that a relation is a mapping of inputs and outputs. Of course, input is your domain, most popularly known as your x values. An output is your range, most of the time your y values. Your input is your independent variable. Output is the dependent variable because that changes depending on what you put in to the input. So a function occurs when your relation has exactly one output for each input. That's where the difference between a relation and an actual function happens. So you've probably heard before of the vertical line test and stuff like that, and that's because a function only exists if each input has one and only one output. Now, function notation, when you write y equals 2x plus 5 or whatever line you're used to from back in the day, that y equals something x is a function. But another way to write y is calling it like f of x or g of x. It's naming a function a different way. It is the exact same thing in a way when you're talking about what certain functions are. It's just a different way of naming them. Okay? So for these couple examples here, the only thing we're going to do is determine if it's a function or not, and then talk about what the domain and range are. Okay, so you have 1 that gives you 2, 3 that gives you 4, and then 5 gives you 6, and now you go back to 3 and it still gives you 4. So your domain is x is equal to 1, 3, and 5. Your range is y is equal to 2, 4, and 6. You don't have to list any repeating x's or y's. Now, because each x gives you one y, this is a function. So yes, this is a function. The second example, you have 1 gives you 2, 3 gives you 4, 5 gives you 6, but now 3 gives you 8. Like the y's just keep on jumping up by 2. This is not a function, and the reason why is because each input can only give you one output. So in the previous example, 3 gave you 4 both times. 3 cannot give you two different y values. So this is no. Your domain would be the exact same, but your range this time would be y is equal to 2, 4, 6, and 8. So that's the difference, okay? So if it has one output per input, it is a function. If it has more than one, no good. So when you're looking at graphs, is this graph a function? The answer is yes. Every x value gives you one and only one y value. You've probably also heard of the vertical line test. If you draw vertical lines from left to right, if it only touches the actual function graph one time, it is a function. So your domain, however, since it goes left forever and right forever, that means your domain is x is equal to all real numbers. Now another way to write domain is known as interval notation. So another way to write it is you're going to negative infinity. So this part is how far left you're going. And since there's an arrow pointing to the left and down, it's going to negative infinity. And since it's going to the right, it's also going to positive infinity. You do not have to write the plus sign. But this is known as interval notation. Okay, there will be times when you're going to be asked to write things in interval notation. If so, that's what you do. Your range, again, y is also equal to all real numbers because it goes up and down forever. Your interval notation would be starting at the bottom. There is no bottom because it keeps on going down forever. That's why it's negative infinity. And then, of course, you have positive infinity because it's always going up. Last example, is this a function? No, it isn't. Vertical line test fails. For multiple x values, you have two different y's. Okay, we can pretend that this is 2, negative 1, and this is 2, 8. Whatever it may be. You have more than one y value per x value, so this is not a function. Your domain is a little bit different because, look, the furthest to the left it goes is a -5, and it includes the -5. And then it doesn't go any further to the left. So, one way of writing domain that you are probably used to is x is greater than or equal to a -5. But if we were using interval notation, we are including the -5, so we use a bracket. So it would be -5 to positive infinity because it goes to the right. Your range, however, it's going up and down, so for both of those it's going to be all real numbers again. Okay, so this is just a short introduction to functions. We're going to do a lot more with functions in the upcoming videos. So that's it for this one. This is Longo and I'm out. See you, bye.